2005 Jeep Wrangler. We have an American in the house. This is a very cute car. Very nice. Soft top. Nice door. I like it. Really cool. Complaint with this is Speedo isn't working. So what the client did is he said he tried to change the speed sensor and he put that. Now whenever I see Dorman, I feel something in different places, and I can tell you it's not a good feeling. So when I heard that it was a Dorman part, I requested that the original sensor be put back in. So this is the Dorman part that was removed and the original was put back in, although it made no change. However, when they put the old sensor back in, he did say that he had a few blips on the needle when he was going on the highway. It would come up and then fall back down, so it wasn't consistently flatlined. But when I've come, I'm not getting any signal at all. So I have put the car on jack stands and all four wheels are off the ground. We're just going to start this thing. Oh, and I scanned it. That's my preliminary scan. We have no fault codes. And this is exactly where people get stuck. No codes, no fix, right? There we go. I'm gonna put it in drive. So in drive. See, we have no speedo. And I just want to show you that the wheels are actually turning. So here we have the wheels turning and no speedo. So that's customer complaint confirmed. We have a no speedometer. Next, I want to go to the wiring diagram and I want to see how do we send a speed signal to this cluster. You know, it's a sensor, obviously, but who is connected to who and who does what? So wiring diagram coming up next. Here we are in the service manual and we're going to go to the wiring section here. It took me a while to find out where this speed sensor is. At first I thought it was vehicle speed control. That wasn't it. Then I checked in the transmission control system. That wasn't it either. I finally found it in the fuel and ignition system. And vehicle speed sensor is here. 3-wire conventional sensor. We have a 5-volt supply from the computer. We have a ground supply from the computer as well. And then we have the vehicle speed sensor signal on pin 3. Now this is a pull down sensor, and I happen to know this because I have a bit of experience with Jeep, which means when this sensor is active, a 5-volt reference signal is sent from the computer up, and that 5 volts is pulled down to ground by the sensor to create a square wave. So I wanted to find out what's up with this. So I went under the car and probed pin 1, 2, and 3, and I'm going to tell you what I found next. Under the car, that's the propeller shaft, that's our speed sensor. So it reads the rotations of the propeller shaft. I checked here. Now, somebody has been here clearly. Somebody was trying to do some wiring and appears not to be successful. So this is the 5-volt ref. I have a good ref on this line, trust me, I've already measured that. and that is a ground, and I have a good ground on this line, but this signal, nothing is coming out of that signal. So what I did is I disconnected this. I just left it hanging and went and relocated my probe to the computer where the signal pin goes into the ECU. And we're just going to go there briefly. So that's our computer. Again, very easy location to get to. That is connector C1, and that is my pin. And again, you can see someone tried to rewire this. Was not successful. So I'm probed over here, and what I want to see is, with my sensor disconnected from down there, a 5-volt signal should be sent from the computer out, ready to be pulled down to ground to make a square wave by the sensor. Go back in. This is a very high car, a bit uncomfortable to get into. And we set up our scope. I don't need these are the 2 channels. I only want to see my signal channel, and get a good sample right here. 1 microsecond, very nice. So I'm going to start the car. Actually, just put the key on, and right now 5 volts should be on this line, and if you notice, there is no 5 volt on this line. We are completely at 0 voltage, dead in the water, totally. Now this is either a short to ground or an open in this line. In order to check whether it's a short to ground or an open, I'm going to take a test light, and I'm going to go to the probe point and probe with my test light. If my test light lights up, then we have a short to ground. If my test light does nothing, then this line is open. So let me do that very quickly. So what I have is my picoscope running, still connected to the front of the vehicle at the ECU, and this is my signal wire, and that's my test light. I have connected it to battery positive, so if I touch, there we go. Now what I want to do is to touch this line, and I want to see if we have a short to ground or an open. If we have an open, nothing will happen in my test light, and I will see nothing on the scope. If you have a short to ground, my test light will light up, and I will also see nothing on the scope. So here we go. Oh, and if my line is continuous to the computer, before I go there, then the 12 volts I put from the tip of my test light should appear on my scope. Now it will go off the screen because I'm not on a good scale, but it doesn't matter. So let's test. Check that out. So we have a short to ground on that line. Oh, are you seeing the test light? Now we're seeing the test light. So that line has a short to ground. Okay, now I know I have a short to ground, but I want you to notice on my scope, you pause that. Oh, Pico, it didn't pause. Let me try this again. Okay, it refused to pause, so let me do this again, then I'll pause the scope. There we go, we have a short to ground. Nice. But notice on the scope, what you're seeing here, this is not it's not really a dead short, it's a partial short, because my test light is enough to elevate this voltage up. So something is up in my harness. Now I'm going to show you something really cool. Finding a short circuit like this is very easy, and I'll tell you why. 5 volts is sent from the ECU down to this line. I should get 5 volts on that line with my sensor connector disconnected. All I have to do is to put the key on and start probing around my harness until my short goes away. Then I will know where I am. Once I see the 5 volts jump up on my screen right there on my scope, then I will know for sure I am close or at the short location. So let me put this on a stand and we're going to proceed with that test. Alright, we have the key on. Let's start the scope. And right now we have 0 volts. And I'm going to start manipulating this harness while watching my voltage. Ooh, nice. Check that out. So right here, where was that? There. We've got something. We have something. So, is it the connector? No. Not the connector. There we go. So our short is somewhere in this location. And actually, now that I have my line, I'm just going to carefully connect my sensor. Oh, and I've lost it again. Let me just get it. There. Okay, we connect my sensor. I just want to check whether I'm losing it or that's a sensor in a location where it's already pulling to ground. This is too heavy. We pull it out of my way. Okay, so I'm going to slowly connect and disconnect and connect and disconnect. Now, this should actually give me a speed sensor signal. So I want to go and start the car real quick, put it in drive and see whether I have a speed sensor signal. Let's start it. I'm going to put it in drive. And I still don't have a speed sensor signal, but I surely got my 5 volt at that sensor. I'm just going to replay the footage of the scope and see if I had any pulsing on the scope. Oh, now I am alone. Just have to wait for people to go. I cannot begin to tell you how extremely uncomfortable I am right now. This place is not nice to lay your head on, you know. Anyway, we're going to complain or we're going to work? I say we work. So, there's my 5 volts and my short is inside that area. Ah, you still in the shot? Yeah, you are. I'm going to open this, if I can do that without cutting my digits. Actually, remove this. Okay, that's out. Oh man, this I feel like a contortionist. Oh, what is going on here? Oh boy, I think I got it. I need to get a seam ripper. Gosh, what kind of tip is this? GM uses. Man, this is some weird ass tape. It has got something that looks like fiberglass strands in it. And it's really difficult to remove. Jeez, what is this? Okay. Now where's my short? Now this is the problem of playing around with the harness very violently like this. You lose the positions of all your wires, and now I can't even see that short at all. Huh. So strange. My short is gone. I can't see anywhere where the wires were touching each other. The only thing I can see is this, but did I do this? Looks like I did. So that looks new. Wow. Yeah, I don't know, guys. It's crazy. Oh, no. It's somewhere on top. Oh, there's another spot. Okay. There's another spot right up there, which I can't seem to get to. But we need to get to it because it clearly wasn't here. This, I think I just caused that right now because it's a very clean cut and the wire is very shiny underneath. So wild goose chase over here. We're going further up in the harness. Let me look for it. Okay guys, I cannot get to this thing. Now the module has timed out, but we still have a very small bias voltage which I can still use and it's working well. The short is up yonder, way up on top of the transmission. So it's in this location here. Now you can't see my hand, but I'm wiggling where the wires are. I can't get to this location without literally taking this transmission down. And I don't know if this garage is going to be willing to pay. There is a very sharp bracket over there that I can feel with my fingers, and if I can just, oh yeah, there, actually, see that? My glove is cut right here. That's from the bracket. There's a very sharp bracket lying on the harness, and that's where I shot you. I can't get to it, and the only way to do this is to drop the transmission. This thing has a pan at the bottom that's for off-roading, and it looks like it's also doubling up as some sort of cross member. So only choice is for them to pay for extra labor time to do it right, or I run a new wire from the ECU right down to this location. Let me speak to them, see what they say. So I've talked to the owner of the workshop, and he wants to do it the right way. So what we've agreed is that his guys are going to drop the transmission down, and actually not drop it, partially drop it, remove that big pan and partially drop the transmission down. They will call me again and I will do the harness repair. So stay tuned for that. It's the next day, and that pan slash cross member has been removed. And let's go down, and you can see our transmission is being slightly dropped. So where I was looking was the top of the transmission. I poked up under there and I couldn't find anything, but that harness comes on the side right here, and that is where our problem is, on that particular harness there. So you can see the wires are stripped, and not the wires but the harness itself is stripped. The conduit is missing, and it is laying on the nut that is for this other speed sensor. I think this is the output sensor or the input sensor. No, this is the input sensor. So I'm going to put this on a stand, focus you here while I lay down on the ground over there, and I'm going to lift and drop that harness, and we'll watch the scope. So here's my harness. It comes from the top of the transmission, it comes to the side, and I'm just going to lift here just a tad bit. There we go. And leave it down and lift it up. Now the mistake I was making last time is I was a bit too violent with the harness. You need to localize and be very gentle so that you know that you're exactly on the right spot. So now that I know that this is my right spot right here, you just bump it up and down, bump it up and down. Nice. So I'm going to take this, I'm just spin it around and see how it looks like on the other side. I'll remove this speed sensor so that it's not in my way. If it's just chafed on that one wire, all I'll do is to tape up this harness and we're good to go. So let me make that repair real quick. Okay. Beautiful. Now I can see my chafe. Let me bring you in here. That's my harness. And right at the back here, there is a rub through spot right there. That one, this one, that one there. So that's where the harness has rubbed through, and that's my speed sensor signal wire, and it's touching the bare metal here. I'm not going to spend too much time with this. I'm going to put some Super 88 tape, and then I'm going to follow through with tester tape, and then call this a repair. I won't take too much time removing this entire harness. there we have it. That's our repair. And don't buy taser tape from Amazon.com. Them guys sell some cheap ass tape and it's fake. If you want the real deal, go to beammotorsports.com and get it from there. Not a sponsor. We're done. So lift this transmission back up. I'm not going to put the cross member, that's not my job, but I'll lift the transmission up and then we put this thing in drive and see whether we have our speed sensor signal. We got the transmission back up. Right now I'm just holding it up with a jack stand, exactly how it was. The pan will be put back by the garage, and it's also a cross member, so that will support that. And yes, I did repair that harness, the one I took apart. All good. Now you may be wondering, Dennis, aren't you going to repair this wiring? The answer, hell no. Let me give you a piece of advice, and this is for all you new techs out there. Do not touch or repair what you're not authorized to repair. I know you may be having good intentions, but this could royally backfire on you. If you go doing repairs that are unauthorized, things can go wrong. People can be extremely unreasonable. After dealing with a lot of clients, I have learned, do only what the client has asked you to do. If you get a code, for example, you come and the client tells you fix my O2 sensor code, and you see another code totally unrelated, don't touch that code. Tell the client that the code is there, let him ask you to repair it. Same with this. I'm not going to touch this. This wiring was done by the owner himself. I am not going to tamper with it unless it is a problem, which it's not. The other thing is this connector is broken. It doesn't latch. I've locked it, but it still comes out. It has been damaged. There are no lock tabs anymore. That's the other thing. We'll just tell the client, hey, your connector is damaged and it can be repaired. We can get a new connector for him if he wants to. I actually do have a new connector in my kit, but I'm not going to put it here because I do not do over and above what I have been authorized to do. I used to do it, didn't work out for me. I've stopped doing that. So no, not repairing that. Let's go up, start this car, see whether we have our speed sensor signal and our speedo. Now I need to be very careful with this. I won't go unnecessarily flooring this thing because I don't want my transmission to tip over. If that happens, we're going to have a very bad day. So I'm going to put in drive. And then I will gently let go of the accelerator. There we go. And I don't like that sound. Oh, let me just remove my cross member from the tire. Oh, that was just the cross member that was on the tire. Very scary sound. I thought something bad had happened. So let me put it in drive again. We're in drive, and I'm going to slowly release my brake, and the wheels are spinning. And look at that, we have got very nice speed sensor signal. Let me see if we have our speedo. I will not take this thing real quick. I'll just maybe 20 or 30 kilometers per hour. Beautiful. We have Speedo. And our square wave is really nice. So let me pause that. And let's just analyze that square wave. If I can get my cursor, oh, there it is. That's a nice square wave. 0 to 5 volts. Nice and clean. I like it. That is a fix. 2005 Jeep Wrangler. Good to go. Until next time.